Well, hey neighbors, and welcome to this episode of I Did Myself Dirty because I didn't want to do you dirty. Damn it. Damn it. But I found out I only did myself dirty because I wouldn't have been doing you dirty. You want to know why, neighbors? Guess what? This is also a how-to. How to split a crankcase without a 7-pound hunk of metal. Oh, we're going to use a 22-ounce hunk of metal. But neighbors, this is a crankcase splitter. I have a 441 that I believe just needs a crankcase gasket. And I've got over $600 tied into that saw. And the chainsaw redeemer's broke. So he keeps spending more money. Because he doesn't want to do things wrong. He doesn't want to do you dirty. And doesn't want to mess up his $600 worth of saw. Okay? But guess what, neighbors? When I taught myself how to open a crankcase, I just used me one of these and a bench vise. And sometimes a screwdriver. But I messed up seals sometimes with the screwdriver. I messed up the seam. And so you got to use extra Permatex. But you don't want to sell a saw like that as refurbished. Sometimes you can, it's okay. But guess what, neighbors? I was just reading a 028 service manual because I've been rebuilding a lot of them. So I thought, I'm bored. It's raining. I got 5 saws that won't oil. I'm stressed out. Sometimes when I'm stressed out, sitting down and reading a damn manual helps me. Listen to this, neighbors. Unscrew the 6th crankcase. This is for an 028, neighbors. I got a 441 here. I'm going to show them both to you in just a minute because they're very similar. Unscrew the 6th crankcase cheese head mounting screws. Use a suitable tool. Example, 5mm diameter drift to knock out the cylindrical pins back into the crankcase half on the ignition side. That does not apply with our 441, just our 028. Remove key from crankshaft stub at ignition side. That's your flywheel key. Hold both halves of the crankcase and use a soft-nosed hammer to knock the crankshaft out of the bearings. Use a screwdriver or similar suitable tool to knock the oil seal out of its seat in the crankcase at the ignition side. Neighbors, this is like the original 028 service manual. Yeah, it says to use a soft hammer, but guess what, neighbors? How many of us small engine guys hit our flywheel nut and hold our flywheel to get our damn flywheel off? Some guys are going to tell you not to do it this way. Okay, you can get a soft hammer. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm about to show you, neighbors, how I used to open these damn things and how I'm probably going to send that damn $80 hunk of metal back. Because I need that damn money. Okay, here's the deal, neighbors. I'm going to turn you down. Check this out. Okay, neighbors, here we have a 441 crankcase. Okay? Not too much different here. This is smaller, but not too much different, neighbors. Listen, he is using a drift when he hits this. It's a certain drift. Oh, I'm sorry. No, in this one he's not, neighbors. Not originally, he's not. Here you go, neighbors. Here you go. Here's your soft nose hammer, neighbors. Yes, it's split already, but the instructions are right here. It tells you to start there. You start here, remove your screws, do that, remove your thing, and then hit it with a hammer, neighbor. And then remove the bearing, neighbor. You see, neighbors? Then remove the bearing, and then remove your bearings and seals. Neighbors, you can hit it with a hammer. I got my flywheel nut on, okay? This is how I used to, I put this is an old crankcase. This is a bad one. It's broken, neighbors, okay? It's broken, and I can't use it. This side's good, but it's broken, and the crank is good, but this side is bad, okay? So listen, neighbors, I would just take me a hammer. Let me lock this thing down here, neighbors, and then get you back in view. Oh, hell, you know what? I'll just lock it right here. Okay, and all I would do is I'd take me a hammer, and I'd just say, okay, well, neighbors, I don't have a good grip here, but let's see if we can get it. Look, already. Okay, neighbors? Oh, you're jumping around, neighbors. And look, that's already starting to split, neighbors. Okay? Okay? That case is already starting to come open. Now, of course, you'd have to be very careful. And that's why you don't want to use anything too blunt. And you can see there's a screw still didn't come out all the way, but it's split out of both sides already. And look, neighbors, you can very gently, if you don't have your $80 hunk of metal like Chainsaw Redeemer now does, very gently start working that apart. Okay? And then you just do that all the way around, neighbors. You just gently work it apart, neighbors. Okay? It's not hard. You can do it. You don't have to buy an $80 hunk of metal. The Stihl Service Manual, back when real men worked on chainsaws, they beat it with a hammer, neighbors. It just had a soft tip so it didn't ruin your crankshaft. But we know the trick now. You just put your nut on. So that way you don't mess it up. And if you have to beat it too hard, well, then you better slow down and figure out where you didn't get a screw out, neighbors, okay? That's all. We don't got to pay them all the money, neighbors. Okay, neighbors, it's that simple. I feel like I missed a screw or a peen somewhere. I might have. I don't know yet, neighbors. I'm still trying to figure that part out. I also have corrosion on my stuff down here, so it might not be wanting to split easily down that way. My case is split. I just haven't got my bearings to come loose yet. Okay? We only got to get one side out, neighbors, that's all. Anyways, I do have a drift to push the bearings through, but you can use a socket. You don't need the drift. Okay, neighbors? You don't have to pay me. You can do this yourself. You will see me work this for a little while. So, to save you time on that, I'm not going to. I just wanted to show you. Look, it is started already, neighbors, and then you just got to work it. Okay, you don't have to buy an $80 tool, neighbors. Okay, and then you can remove your oil seal with your drill bit and your pick. Or if you got an oil seal removal tool, you can use that. Okay, same over here. Remove your oil seal, and then everything's going to be much easier. You can spray your catalyst in there on your bearings and get them to loosen up. Okay, neighbors, I think I do see a pin. There's one right here, neighbors. Yeah, so we'll have to punch that pin through. That's probably our problem. No, maybe not. That's not a pin. But either way, neighbors, that's all. That's all you got to do. Just be careful. Take your time, neighbors. Just take your time. Even though I'm just doing this to look at the inside of it before I open the other one, I want to see the oil channels. I was just curious if I could do it that way. I know I can continue to get this off and work at it, neighbors. And so that's it. You can use your hammer to split your crankcase. Just make sure you get all your bolts out. Take your time, soft taps, and then just work it a little bit at a time. Take your seals out, get those out of the way, and presto. You don't have to buy a big old hunk of metal, because Chainsaw Redeemer's sitting here thinking, where the hell am I going to put this big old thing? The proper way to do this would be, I believe they say to do it on this side, would be like this, neighbors. Now Chainsaw Redeemer can't return this, because he wants to show people a big old hunk of metal. I think Holtz Pharma, again, did me dirty. Because they said this fits this chainsaw, and it clearly does not. Might have to go from underneath. Nope. Listen, neighbors, they did me dirty. They said this fits the 441. It does not. Let me see here. Before I get my panties in a tiff. There we go. I didn't think it was going to go down in there, neighbors. Okay. Just make sure that's on our housing properly. Make sure it's level, neighbors. And then, that's all we do, neighbors. We just spin. Okay, I feel like I missed a screw or something somewhere, because this should be coming apart. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This should be it. There we go, neighbors. Probably would have been like 3 more taps with the hammer. Look at that, neighbors. That's all you got to do, okay? You send Chainsaw Redeemer your crankcase. You pay for the shipping. He'll split it for you. Okay, neighbors? That's all you got to do. Yeah, that thing is just stuck right in its bearing. The bearing is stuck in the crankcase. It pushed out of the bearing. I'm kind of surprised. I thought the bearing would come too. Oh, I was on the bearing. That's okay, neighbors. Farmer Tech did me dirty. There you go, neighbors. Ah, there goes the clip. This retaining clip, I forget where it goes. Look at all that corrosion in there. Now what I'm looking at is I have got on my 441. Neighbors, I need a bigger shop. I'm gonna start a PayPal donation. Start putting a PayPal donation in the link. What I've got going on is I've got, well, there's the oil tank. I think I've got air passing from here into my oil tank because I've got an air leak presenting. I'll show you. Show you where my air leak's presenting. Then I think I got to go wash my hands because I got a neighbor that ordered piston rings and I can't find my piston rings. And I'm about to pull some out of my piston kits and have to take piston kits off because I've got 5 motors on the bench, neighbors, to build saws. And I can't find my rings. But I can manage rings for 4 of them, just not the 5th. Okay, I got an air leak presenting right through my oil channel right here. Okay, and right here in this bolt. Now that bolt very well could have, if it was the wrong bolt, punctured the case. But it doesn't appear to me that it did. I think my gasket is bad because I did have crankcase bolts loose. So there's the retaining pins there. I guess I could have knocked those through, I think. No, you can't. And so what I'm going to do is put a new crankcase gasket on the other one. And hope that it seals it up, but I've got to split it. I just wanted to examine this one first. And if it is a hole in the case, well, then I'm SOL, guys, because this one's broken, and it would be this side that I need. And Chainsaw Redeemer cannot afford a crankcase for that saw. So that's it. That would be all she wrote. These are flanged out. Very good. Now, I got a new gasket on the way. It's Proline. I don't know how good Proline is, but that's sad. That's a good bearing. Very good bearing. This was a low hour saw. It looks like somebody just dropped a tree on it or something, or it broke like a lot of chainsaws do that. Okay, that's going to be it for this episode of How To, and they did us dirty, and I did myself dirty because I didn't want to do you dirty and do it the wrong way, but it was okay to do it that way. I could have done it with a hammer this whole time. But guess what? I'm going to use my $80 hunk of metal. I'm going to split that 441, and neighbors, that will be available for sale soon. $850 with a 20-inch bar and chain. That's my bottom dollar. Plus shipping. Okay, neighbors? That's the minimum I'll go. If you want a 25 or 28-inch bar and chain, you got to pay me a lot more money. Okay, neighbors, smallengineredemption@gmail.com. Until next time, be kind to one another because everyone's facing a battle.